Hello, happiest of days to you folks. I hope you guys are having an absolutely amazing, awesome day today. One of the best you ever had in your entire life for you folks. So today is Saturday, so you know what day it is. Cereal Saturday time. For you folks, I like to do my reviews of an older cereal from the movie or TV sometimes side of things too, just as a heads up for you folks. But basically, what's happening for everybody on today's date for you folks, I did, just as a heads up, I probably won't be doing one next week, and that sort of a thing too. I am moving to a new state with a new job and that sort of a thing too, and so tomorrow on Saturday I'm packing, and then I'll be moving there, and then next week probably wouldn't be a good time for me to record anyway, so it might be a couple of weeks, and then I'm not sure that the new schedule for work or life, we'll have the time for me to do and watch and review and give you my thoughts and that sort of a thing too, just as it's a warning too. So it's possible that this could be my last movie serial that I did do a review for of Cereal Saturdays for a while. So it's a little bittersweet, if you will. Well, let's get started. I like independent films, as you know, so today we're doing an independent serial that I thought it would be fun to do. This is called Burn 'Em Up Barnes. It's from the independent company Mascot Pictures. It's from 34. It's in 12 parts too, but a little longer at 210 minutes, just as a heads up. So this was a retelling, if you will, of a silent film from about like 13 years ago, prior in the early 20s. And that sort of a thing too. And it's kind of like a remaking and that sort of a thing too. Since between then, car racing had become very, very popular with folks, as well as other forms of racing too, and you will see a lot of those and that sort of thing too, from boat racing and that sort of a thing too. So they decided to refilm this, recast this, reconceptualize that silent film as a serial. Sort of a thing too, while also modernizing. It's also always filmed on location of like actual driving tracks and that sort of a thing too. Alright, so this stars as Burn 'Em Up Barnes, John Mulhall, and that is and his sidekick kid Frankie Darrow. Darrow was his best friend, Bobby Ryler, and that's his best friends when he was growing up. He became a photographer, whereas Burn 'Em Up Barnes became the best, racing car drawing, and so that's his best friend's kid, Ward, and so he kind of adopts him, and that sort of a thing too. Which makes total sense. I'm not gonna mind. I'm not losing easily. And then next is the starring love interest and also a small business owner too. This is Lola Lane's as Marjorie Temple, and then her mechanic, who is Julian Rivera, is Tony's Italian. And that sort of a thing. He also does some driving and has her aid too. She owns the business and that sort of a thing too. And then, so that's good stuff. Then it also stars, just a heads up, Edward Maxwell as Lyman Warren, who's one of the big bads. And then Jason Robards is the other big bad, John Drummond, for you folks, both of whom are business owners of their own distinct entities. And that sort of a thing too. So this is directed by Clark and Armand. Yeah, it's Armand. It's the last thing on the list. Schaefer. It's also written by Clark and Schaefer too, and then it's also written by Sherman Lowe and Al Martin, as well as John Ramel and Barney Saraki. The plot here is relatively simple and that sort of a thing too. So basically what's happening here is that we find out in the first episode that the land that Marjorie owns and that sort of a thing too typically it's kind of barren over in the California area and that sort of thing. Doesn't have a whole lot of value for like agriculture, mining, none of that stuff too. But a survey was done by some folks that she doesn't know about that shows that there's a ton of oil there. Right, that sort of a thing too. So so basically Lyman and John, the two big bads that I mentioned, each of their businesses are trying to buy it from her, and that's sort of a thing too, but on the cheap, so they can definitely reap the rewards, and that sort of a thing too. In the first episode, one of their folks is going to wreck the school bus that her small business is transporting folks right? And that sort of a thing too. And so they wreck the school bus, and that sort of a thing too, and think she's going to be out of business. Her company, her business contract with the schools, they tell her 3 days she's going to find a bus, and that sort of a thing too. And then Burnham up Barnes after he's adopted that ward. And that sort of a thing too. He wants to sort of focus and get that money, so he invests his driving monies into that business, and he'll be a co-partner with her, and that sort of a thing too. And then while they are there together, he'll also get a bus, and that sort of a thing too, to get them back to their contract. That sort of thing too, and then so that's basically the key plots and that plot elements and so forth. If that makes sense for you folks. So I think the concept is fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and that sort of a thing too. It's a nice little diversion for you folks. The only issue I have is that 12 episodes is a little long, but that's fine. 10 out of 10 for you folks. Nice little way to end this stuff for you folks. It's got great racing scenes, great casting. Great, set designs. It's great photography. Liked it lots. 10 out of 10 for you folks. It's Burnham Up Barnes. Links will also be in the description below, in case you're interested in watching it right along with me on G2 for free. For you folks, if I didn't have to watch it, you shouldn't have to either. Alright, so there you go for you folks. Have you seen this serial? If so, what did you think about it? Did you agree or disagree with my thoughts? Now, as a reminder, I'm not somebody who's a trained film school person. I don't do films. I don't make films for a living. I'm not a critic either, right? None of that stuff too. I'm not coming to you from a place of expertise, right? So we're in the same place on that stuff. For you folks as fans, just as a heads up. Also, I definitely really, really like the serials. They're sort of this forgotten storytelling method in the modern era, and that sort of a thing too, other than maybe some film aficionados here and there, and that sort of thing too, but they were heavily influential in that area. Definitely sold lots of seats with a double. You would often see a double picture with them, and then in addition to that, with an A picture, B picture for like a half a day, rather than just going to one film with a few commercials and then head home. Right here, you would also have some trailers to show, and that sort of a thing too. But it was also you would have but you would have like newsreels, cartoons, as well as the serial, and that sort of a thing too. Might be there for like a half a day, and that sort of a thing to go in, watch some shorts, the A picture, another couple of shorts, the serial, a half an hour, maybe intermission, and then go back for the B half, and that sort of the things too. And then you would leave with the serials, and these serials were the water cooler talk of the era. Everybody was like, what's going to happen next on the way? How's this person going to survive? Let's check it out next week, right? That's how they get people interested. And that sort of a thing too. So I definitely sort of really think we have sort of forgotten it, and that sort of a thing too. I also think that serials would be better in the modern era. Sometimes in the modern era, television oftentimes they talk about, it's a 10-hour movie, it's an 8-hour movie. This wasn't. It definitely had one plot, but it wasn't like 8 hours, right? And that sort of a thing too. I think we have also the modern serial stories of television could do a better job at telling that story too. So check it out too. I think it's good stuff for you folks. Alrighty, there you go. And so I also do, like I mentioned earlier, lots of reviews on this too. And then yesterday on Fridays I do top 10s of various things, since it was Halloween yesterday. Actually it's today when I'm recording. But yeah, I posted my top 10 modern horror films for you folks, and then also on Wednesday I do older video game reviews and that sort of a thing too. I just did my review of Sid Meier's Sim Golf from 2002. And so it's only available in disc. You can't download it anywhere because it was a combination for Access and E. But it's good stuff. And then also on Monday I do reviews of older tabletop RPGs and that sort of a thing too, or war games too, like Battletech, and that sort of a thing too. So last week I was able to publish X12, but again I'm not sure that I'll be able to do that again in the middle of a moon. Just a heads up. But then also, for the other 3 days a week, as well as some Let's Plays, I do some reviews of older things that you read. In this case, of the science fiction, fantasy, and horror genres too, typically. Some exceptions do apply, it's fine. So I think you'll enjoy that too. All up and down of the blocks. So So some of those 7 things, or just a Saturdays or whatever, sound like your cup of tea, no pressure, then great, welcome to the channel, and please, while you're here, do all the YouTube stuff too, right? Subscribe buttons, likes, all that stuff too. And there you go. As you can tell from those 7 older reviews or things that do a week, that's the passion of this channel, is to find these things for you and talk about them for you folks and give them sort of a modern audience too, right? All up and down the blocks. It's even worse. The name comes from too. That's the worst thing about new books. It's a quote by a French philosopher, Jacques Joubert, who says that the worst thing about them was that they actually kept us from reading the old stuff too, right? All up and down the blocks. And so I definitely think that we should be checking out these things. And the passion for the new book, the new novels, the new video games, the new movies, and that sort of a thing too, was at times forgotten that these things are standing on the shoulders of giants. So let's check out those giants. Not that they're bad, but you get the idea. And there we go for you folks. I want to thank you so very, very much for just taking some time out of your day and even investing it and watching my video, because we all have so many things, right, that are happening in our lives. And we're pulled in so many different directions too. So if you spent this time with me, that's incredibly humbling. And I really, really do appreciate that all up and down the block for you folks. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.